All right, so in this video, I'm going to show you 3 different ways to get rid of this little messy lettering right here in the corner. So I had lettering all over this page, and then I started sketching out this one, and it turned out really good, and then I just snapped a photo of it because I couldn't cut it out, so I figured I'll do it in Photoshop. And then I figured I'll just show you guys how I do this. So I'm just going to show you 3 different ways of doing this. I'm pretty sure there's even more ways of doing this because Photoshop is so flexible and has so many different options that you can do this many different ways. So I'm going to show you the top 3 ways that I would tackle this. So before you even start, while you're taking your picture like this, a flat lay, it's ideal to have the lighting be even on the whole photo so that because it depends where you're going to have this. Nobody's going to have exactly what I have right here. You might have it somewhere in the corner, some other place. So just try to have your lighting be even so that there's not a lot of shadows in one corner and then really, really bright in another, because that's going to throw off fixing this. So when you know you have a problem that you want to fix in Photoshop, make sure you take a really good photo of it because it's going to make your process a whole lot easier. All right, so I'm going to show you number 1 right now, and it's using the clone tool. So go to your tool bar right here, and if you don't know which one clone tool is, it's the one that looks like a stamp. Some people call it the stamp tool as well. So when you click on it and hold your mouse, it'll say clone stamp tool or the S on your keyboard. All right, so we're just going to zoom into this little corner. So Command plus and then space bar. Hold the space bar and then drag it around and move it around. All right, I'm gonna make this brush a little smaller because you can see this big circle. It's really big. It's a little bit too big for what I need it to do right now. So I'm gonna use either the brackets on my keyboard or I'm gonna right click on my mouse and just bring the size down a little bit. So I'm gonna make it about this big. And then you have to click Option or Alt on your keyboard and then click in the area that you want to clone onto this area. So we're going to take pieces of this piece of paper, of this area, and we're going to basically clone it and put it on top of this area to cover it up. It's best to do it along the edge because then you know that you're kind of aligned and you're going along the same edge and the same angle. So I'm going to click Alt and Option and click right here. And then I'm going to let go of Alt and let go of my mouse and just move it over. And you can see right there, there's just a little area you can see that's being already cloned. So once you click, you're going to clone it. So we're going to align it right there to the edge of the paper and click and drag. And now you're basically painting with the right part onto the left part of your paper. And you're going to come upon the area where it's going to start picking up, see that S. That's where it used to be right here. So then you just let go and then you start again. So maybe from this area, you click Option, click your mouse, and then hover over and then start just painting with that area. That's why you want the shadows and the lighting to be the same, because when you're copying this piece of paper over here, you don't want it to be too dark. So always stay as close to the area that you're trying to fix as possible so that the lighting and the color is the same. So we're going to do this little corner right here. Just align it. And make sure you don't go like past this because then you're just going to paint it over the edge. So make sure you always stop right before the edge and then start again on this side and make sure you align it to the top to get that nice edge of the paper. And then click again, and then you can keep painting with that same color because it looks really good. And then we're going to zoom in even more to fix that little corner. I'm going to make my mouse or my little cursor here smaller. Again, click Option or Alt and keep doing this till we get as close to the edge as possible. And then I'm going to do this part right here. And it's a good thing that it actually finished right before this little corner, because if it didn't, I'd have to kind of paint it in. but it's not right in the corner, so it's easy to fix because I can just go all the way up to it but not have to worry about that corner being nice and sharp. All right, so there we go. It's nice and finished. There's a little bit of shadows going on here. I can fix. All right, that's it. It's done. And now when you zoom out, it's not there anymore and it looks perfect. So you guys can see the before and the after. All right, so the next way to do it is to basically cut off this corner and then copy and pasted it onto this corner. And this is exactly why I said your shadows and your lighting has to be the same, because if this whole corner was a lot darker than this one, then it wouldn't work. And it's only, again, gonna work if this corner is nice and empty and clean and it's about the same size and everything. So that's why I'm showing you 3 different ways so you can decide which one's gonna work better for your situation. So if you hold your mouse over this and click and hold, you'll get these 3 options. So Lasso Tool, you can click and then draw any shape you want. And the polygonal one, I can't say that word. Polygonal one is you can click and then drag, or I mean click and let go, and then it'll create a line for you, a straight line. So it's straight lines like this. All right, I'm gonna grab the polygonal one just so I have straight lines, and I'm just gonna kind of estimate how big that corner is. So I'm just gonna get as close to these letters as possible because I don't know how much room I need. So I'm gonna go around this whole corner like that, and then I'm gonna click Command C on my keyboard, or I think it's Control C on a PC, but if you're not sure, you can just go to Edit and Copy and it'll tell you what the shortcut is. So I'm gonna click Copy, and then I will just hit right back to paste, and we're just gonna paste it right on top. So you can't even tell that it's there because it's in the same exact spot. So now you can see on a separate layer that it's there. So make sure you grab that top layer right here. If you don't know where your layers window is, go to Windows and click Layers and it'll pop up for you. So make sure you click V or this arrow thingy on your keyboard to switch back to your Move tool. That's where you grab things and move them around. So click V on your keyboard and you're gonna be in the right one. And then make sure you're in this layer and then just hover over your picture where that is, and then just grab it and drag it over. So you can see I have that little corner now, wherever I need it to go. So we need to flip it. So we're not gonna rotate it, we're just gonna flip it, and then we're gonna rotate it to kind of get it in the right position. So I'm gonna go to Edit, Transform, and Flip Horizontal. And it just flipped horizontally for me. So now the corner is on the left side instead of on the right side. So now I'm gonna just hover right over this, and I'm gonna start adjusting it. So either click Command T on your keyboard or go to Free Transform right here. And then you get these little arrows and you can just move it around. You can zoom in while you're in this rotation tool. So you can zoom in, you can get it in the right position. And you can always bring the opacity down a little bit so that you can see what's happening underneath if you're in the right position. So just hover over this opacity thing and just click and drag to the left, or use these little arrows here. And then you can see through this piece below and see if you're just kind of aligned on top of it. And my computer's being very, very slow today, so this is why it's being a little jumpy. But I'm gonna try to get this corner aligned with the bottom corner. I don't know if you guys can see very well in the video, but it's pretty much right there. And do you see this little tiny, like a cross with a circle in it right in the middle of this rectangle right here? That is your little pivot point. So you grab it and just click and move it right over to this corner, and this will create a pivot point. So now when you rotate, it'll rotate from that point. So now you can pivot it from right that little corner, because we know that that corner is aligned right now. So I'm just gonna rotate it in the right spot, and then I'm gonna use my arrow keys on my keyboard to kind of get it in the place right there. It's almost perfect. it's good enough for an Instagram post. So I'm just gonna leave it. I'm gonna get back my opacity to 100 and see what happened. So I can see that I covered a little bit of my leaf right here, and I don't wanna do that. So I'm gonna grab an eraser. So just go to your tools menu again, or click E on your keyboard, and that will grab your eraser tool. You can again use the brackets to make it smaller, or right click to get the size smaller, and then just click around and erase that top layer and get your leaf back. Now for this little area, we're gonna do something else. Go to your layers window and click these little tiny 3 or 4 lines right there in the corner, and you're gonna get the menu for that. So click on flatten image, and we're just gonna merge those 2 layers together to one image. So now it's just one image. All right, so this we're gonna fix with a spot healing tool. So go right here to your tools menu, J on the keyboard for a shortcut, and it's called spot healing brush tool. So again, I'm gonna get it a little smaller, and then I'm just gonna brush right over it, and it disappears, and it's all gone, guys. Look at that. You can't even tell that there was a giant mistake right there. All right, so now for the last one, we're gonna be using this spot erase. So now for the last way to do this, we're gonna be using this little spot healing brush tool. Now this is perfect when you've got little things like this. You know, just like right in the corner, you wanna fix a little mistake right there, or there's just little tiny things that you wanna get rid of. This is perfect. This is a little bit too big for it, but you can do it. I've already tried it and it worked, so I'm just gonna show you. It's not the best way, and I probably wouldn't advise you doing a big area like this with the spot healing tool, but it wasn't too bad, so it kind of worked. All right, so grabbing your little spot healing brush, we're gonna again zoom in so we can see exactly what's going on. And the way this spot healing thing works is anywhere you draw with it, anywhere you paint with it, it's gonna look around the rest of your picture to see for pixels that kind of match that area, and it's gonna fill it in with those. So it's a little bit tricky to do, but if you work from the inside out, it might work for you, all right? So it depends again what kind of problem you're having and how much of a mistake you're erasing, but you gotta play around with it to see how it works. Now, you can't do this and go to the edge all the way here because it's not gonna work. It doesn't recognize edges that well. Like, it does a pretty good job depending how you do it, but it's not that great. So the way to kind of go around it is to go from the inside out and just do it line by line, little by little. You can make the brush a little bit bigger, but you basically have to do it this way. You have to kind of go up instead of doing zigzags. Okay, so go in straight lines, because as soon as you do that zigzag, your little edge here is going to be a little bit too wavy. So we just want to tackle the edges right here where it's touching almost the edge of the paper, and we want those to be really good. And then in the middle right here, you can kind of swoosh around and it really won't matter that much. So like this one, I can kind of just paint it all over and it should probably work. Yay, it worked. So like areas like this, you can do in big swoops, but if you have something closer to the edge, you will have to kind of take your time and just go like this. Now again, this isn't ideal. It's probably easier to just do it with the clone tool like I showed you before, or just copying and pasting and flipping. But it depends what you have that you're fixing again. So it might not work for everybody's and everybody's situation. That's why I'm showing you 3 different ways to kind of see which one works for you. And then once you figure out how each thing works, you're going to be able to know ahead of time which one you want to use to fix your mistake. So this corner is going to be a little tricky. So I'm going to make my brush smaller. And again, you can see that it got out of the edge right there. So you have to kind of go back and forth. If something didn't work, just undo it and see if you can get it to work the next time. And if it's really not working, you can grab this healing brush, not the spot healing brush. All right, so I'm just gonna grab this area, again, just like with the clone tool. And I'm gonna get this little corner fixed up here. So it might be a combination of a couple different tools that you have to use to do this, or just one of them. All right. So that's it, it's finished. It's not the best right here, it's a little wobbly, but nobody's gonna be zoomed in. So for images like this, I don't really mind that there's a little bit of wobbliness because it's not like a final image, it's not going to print, it's not doing anything fancy, it's just gonna be my Instagram photo. All right, so thanks for watching and I'll see you in my next video.